taking my hat on. It's gonna be another criticism, okay? And naturally, some of you guys, a lot of you guys are probably going to find some resistance, okay, to judgment and criticism, because you believe that you've transcended all belief systems, which anybody with a certain level of discernment can see that on a relative level, that's a load of shit. Let's put that up. So everybody's welcome. This isn't me saying you're not welcome. This is an observation, okay? And another thing I am throwing into the Neo-Advaita pool of non-duality videos made that are confusing people and I believe worsening people's existential anxiety and depression crises, okay? So I'm throwing it out there, and I hope that on your binge that this pops up. And contrary to non-duality videos, I hope that you get something out of it. But I will also say that I am not a teacher, okay? I'm not a teacher. I highly recommend that you don't take this as ultimate, as everything. I recommend that you go listen to a real teacher. And when I say real teacher, I don't mean a 22-year-old that had a realization and grabbed a camera and started recording herself. I mean an established non-duality teacher that actually knows how to explain what they are explaining to people, okay? So now that that's out of the way, I will be reflecting on Ariana. She posted an interesting, she posted a video talking about her identity story. Admittedly, I didn't watch. I can't do the ultimate language over and over, the annoying appearance in person, the story. I can't do it. And with that, there's gonna be some new people here that are like, you don't get it because you don't understand what she's talking about. Like, you haven't had, there's been realization here. I don't feel separate at all from anything, but I just don't believe that it's full stop at recognition. I don't believe that. So we'll get into that more. She posted an interesting video, but I only watched a clip at the end because I was very curious. It was basically of her kind of recording herself trying, like, basically her mind fucking breaking. She was recording herself trying to conceptualize this no concept and that she's not here. And it was interesting to see her look like a person. I'll say that. It was interesting to see her look relatable for once. I've never seen her look like that. And this isn't me trying, I want to disclaim, this isn't me trying to bash Ariana. Genuinely, it's not that. I know I poke fun. It's that I don't feel like any of this stuff is observed because non-duality is so against any judgment or whatever, which is judgmental in and of itself. It's against any critique because of blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so none of this stuff is talked about, and I think there's a lot of confusion. So my objective with this is to hopefully give you something else to kind of whatever if you're confused, and also if you've already had realization, to question if there's really a stopping at realization, or if there's really a belief that you have no beliefs, like if that really works out. But anyway, she posted a very interesting clip, and it was interesting to see her look relatable for once. I've never seen her look like that. Most of the time we see her, Ariana is in this very interesting, mind-blown state of ultimate awareness, you could call it, trying to describe ultimate awareness, and describe her realization with us. And she looks very transparent, but very cold. There's something very impersonal. And I know that this is laughable because I know. But she looks very hollow. I won't even say impersonal because I know what that's going to be taken as. It looks cold. It looks absolutely empty. Almost like you're talking to somebody or listening to somebody or witnessing somebody that is, it's going to sound mean, but might as well be like brain dead. When you're listening to Ariana talk, it could seem like that, like very, very, whatever. And there's an intrigue to it because she is happy and smiling. But as an observation in most of her videos, I would say that she looks, I would say that she looks carefree. And I think that draws people in, is like that she doesn't look burdened by caring at all. Like she looks very, very carefree and light, I would say, weightless, and there's smiling, and there's nature. She has a lot of interesting nature, like places that she films and stuff like that. But I wouldn't, even back then, if I were to go back, I wouldn't ever, I might describe it as like emptiness, as carefreeness, as burdenness. Like I would describe it as the absence of something. And to people that are saying, I don't get it, it's the absence of a character, it's the absence of a person, blah, 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 blah. You don't get it. All right. Okay. But when watching her, I would describe it emptiness. I would describe the lack of something, burdenless, or free of burden, free of care. There's a carefree, like there's something that's missing. And I'm not saying that it's care, and I'm not saying that it's burden. I'm saying I would describe her with, there would be no fullness that comes to mind when describing Ariana. And in a way, it's intriguing and very scary, which I think is the reaction that she gets. And she'll talk about how it's devastating, it's horrible, it can be terrifying, you know. And she says it with a smile. And this is the same kind of look, the same kind of emptiness that I think you get from Theo, that I think you get from Non-Duality Police, Ken when he was here, me probably when I first started, who else? Grace, Non-Duality is pretty new. I feel emptiness there, but it's like, it's innocence. It's not me trying to, I don't want anybody to take this as me blaming them for the emptiness or whatever. This is me pointing out something to you. Hi. It's me pointing something out to you when it comes to the emptiness or whatever. It's for discernment, because I feel like people kind of pick up on that. They kind of pick up on, this kind of feels scary. Like, I don't know if this is really wrong or really right. Like, if it's really, like, ultimate truth or just something I should kind of stay away from. That's how I felt, at least. in this clip, it was interesting to see Ariana kind of personable, relatable. Maybe struggling the way that some of you guys struggle with the confusion of this stuff. Process of her mind and self just shattering. It was interesting because even there was a sense of fullness. And I'm not saying one is wrong or one is right. She felt relatable as a person in that video, struggling with identity, struggling with who she was, struggling with all this stuff. In that clip, now there's no relatability. You watch a video and it can feel like you're watching hollowness, but also maybe the intelligence of God in a strange way. You're watching like an AI hologram. Just, I don't know how to explain it, but there's totally an empty, humanity-less feeling to these videos. Theo, Ariana, it's scary. There's something unsettling about it. And I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm saying that I think what's being spoken is half-truths for the sake of preserving the ultimate truth. So there is ultimate and there is relative existing simultaneously. The issue is that when you're trying to explain ultimate perspective or whatever, it's really not a perspective, so it's being filtered through your perspective that you're denying anyway. So Ariana's trying to explain consciousness, awareness, centerlessness through her form and trying to be accurate. You could tell that there's even though she'll deny that there's no need to be accurate, you could tell that her tendencies, I would assume, okay, these are assumptions, but I would assume that Ariana before, she's talked about some of her insecurities and the self-bullying and maybe feeling a little bit inferior. And I feel like anytime that you have an inferiority complex, it's kind of, you try to compensate and build yourself up. And one way that people could do that is being really good at being accurate and explaining things. And I think maybe, this is theory, Ariana has a thing with being absolutely accurate. And I think it shows in her videos, like she still wants to be absolutely accurate. But the problem is you can't be, you know, there's no actual way to communicate the absolute truth because this is the form through which there's expression happening right now is absolutely relative. It's the same for Ariana. It's relative, okay? This is my form. So if I deny the form, I say there's no person, there's nothing, and I interchange everything and I mix it all up into this big salad because I feel like the big inaccurate salad is the most accurate way to describe what's ultimate truth, because I feel like ultimate truth is more valuable than relative truth. We already have duality. It becomes a dilemma, and I think it's innocent again. I think Ariana's trying to explain what realization is like. And realization is the freedom from all of that identification, so it feels great, and I think that it woos her, and it's just, she's in amazement all the time because she's free from the painful inferiority, the painful feeling like a person, her painful journey. Yeah, I would assume that, and I understand nobody wants to go back to feeling that. So if we stay in this ultimate God state all the time, nobody's doing it. Nobody's doing anything. That's not real though, and it's funny because you still feel like a person. There's still identity there. There wouldn't be a channel called Ariana Reflects. If you were absolutely ultimate, I wouldn't even say you wouldn't say anything. You would just cease to appear as a separate entity. Ariana could shut up and never say another word of the nonsense and the gibberish, and she could still show up in her form, and it would be, in a way, ultimately contradicting or inaccurate just because she's showing up in a separate form. So there's really no way to be correct. Ultimately, no matter how much you use this ultimate language and this gibberish of nothing's happening, I'm not here, because within the relative it becomes just an absolute mess. It becomes nobody's able to understand you unless they've had the prerequisites of I would say some form of self-inquiry. Usually the people that I would say get it, like myself, I listened to some of Ariana's videos and it really helped push me off the ledge. I'll always credit that, but it would be silly for me to deny that there was a relative path. It would just be very silly for me to deny that there was some relative path, because me, as a relatively, as a character, as this form, first off, as a child, I was already very, very sensitive, and I would say spiritually receptive to things. There was a sensitivity combined with a curiosity as this personality. So that led me to already do a lot of seeking and already a lot of be very introspective and find out what the truth was relatively for me. So and I think that that's an essential part of realization, because it might start with seeking. It might seem useless, but the seeking eventually can lead to a resistance, a dropping of the resistance on the relative level, which can create way for kind of ultimate to be realized, in my opinion. Don't listen to me, I'm not a teacher though. Go listen to a real teacher. But yeah, anyways, it becomes just this gibberish. There's no way to be accurate. And the funny thing is, she's in this state of no whatever, but there's still the tendency to try to be ultimately accurate playing out, to ultimately know it, even though she's claiming I know nothing. Any claim is a claim to know. There's not escaping it. So even I know nothing, I don't know, guys. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. And will I worry? Because again, full stop. And some of you guys, blah blah blah. Some of you guys, pep talk time, are going to be you're going to be like, you're worried. Well, that shows something about you. You're not an awakened, enlightened being. Oh, there's ducklings. Okay. I don't care so much to dispel any of that, because the judgment in and of itself just shows that you have some sense of identity that's doing the judging, and has preference and belief. So I don't know what to say to any of that. So I will continue to express my concern for young people that come across this stuff, and think that full stop is realization in this high state where you're just in this epiphany state all the time. Because eventually you realize that there's no congruency, that you are living as form. You are existing as form. Okay, so to keep trying to be identified as the nothing is like a fallacy. And I'm not saying it's not true. I don't want to steer people away from the truth. I'm saying that it's a half truth. And I don't believe that it stops there. I believe that emptying out, that epiphany that there's really nothing, is transcendence, but I don't think that it's about transcendence. I don't think that it's about epiphany. I don't think that it's about enlightenment. I do think it's about happiness. I do think that it's about love. Fullness. The fullness that fills the emptiness. I really do believe that. And it started as this need for the truth and this need for accuracy and this love of the truth and love of accuracy. So me saying this isn't me trying to be egoic or bring myself back into the picture because I'm desperately scared that there's nothing happening to ducks. Things are so small. Let's see if we could make you guys see. Look, you see them? Maybe we'll zoom. Oh, I can't. They look like they hatched a little tiny bit ago. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm not saying that I believe that it's about love and compassion and a fullness too, because I'm scared of the emptiness. There used to be that, I think. And I think people would assume that I'm scared of the smackdown, that I'm scared of the truth, that nothing's there. It's not that. It's that I believe that truth is one with love and unity. The truth of none is also true of one. And I believe that the emptiness is completely inseparable from the fullness. And in that there's love, and there's a sense of fullness. I do believe that you could feel a sense of fullness. There's not this uneasiness around. There might be, who knows, but I don't, there's not a sense of total asylum around that person where you're just afraid. That fear, that like dark night of the soul, the terrifying, heartbreaking reality, I believe it does happen with the realization, but I don't believe it stops there. I believe that if you are in that misery forever and no transformation has taken place, I mean, what good is your enlightenment? And you could say that it just is over and over again. And it just is what it is. If it's good or bad, it's whatever. I've transcended all of that. No, I don't know. I don't know. There's something just fishy about it, and almost half full, lukewarm, whatever about it. And this is an invitation for both people that have realized and people that have been seeking to have a realization. You know, to question, because you're not, in a way, the message is that there's nothing happening, so there's nothing to question. But my invitation to you is to question the people that are speaking that you're taking serious as teachers before you trust them based off of what you believe is this relative expression of an ultimate truth. And I'm also not saying there's nothing useful. Got bit through my pants. I'm also not saying that there's nothing useful about that message. What I'm saying is that it's very mainstream, right? It's pretty cool. It seems very different than all the other spiritual stuff out there. It seems pretty fucking bitchin', dude. And it can seem very shortcut. Like a shortcut spirituality, a shortcut for your personal problems. No matter how many times it's explained that it's not, it's expressed like it is. Because I personally do believe people like Ariana and other people do believe that it was a solution for their personal problems. They just deny that they believe that there's a them there believing that. So it gets very confusing. But question things. If you're not brain dead, don't act like it. No reason. There's absolutely no reason. Alright, till next time. Goodbye.